All right, y'all. So today I want to go over Mileena's matchups in MK11. So I'm not a high level player. I would say I'm casual. So this is not a guide for if you're high level. This is more a casual guide, especially if you're playing in Combat League. I'd say I'm overall yeah, I would just say this is geared towards casual. I'm going to start off with Shang Tsung. I don't think Mileena does well against Shang Tsung. I would say mainly because Shang Tsung has better space control than Mileena. I think he has a lot more range than Mileena, so I feel like he's going to really be able to whiff punish her really easily because she's a stubby character. He has anti-zoning as well, so yeah, that's going to make any type of matchup rough for Mileena when she gets outspaced and anti-zoned. It's really not good. I would say it's probably one of her worst overall. Yeah, Shang Tsung is not a good matchup. Shao Kahn, I think Shao Kahn can mash on Mileena because he has more range than her, and he also has very high damage output, so I don't think this is a good matchup for Mileena. I don't think it's as terrible as Shang Tsung, but Shao Kahn I feel like he can mash on Mileena, and I feel like he can really outspace her. And when he opens her up, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot when he opens her up. So I wouldn't say this is a good matchup overall. Frost, I also think is one of Mileena's worst matchups. I think Frost just outspaces her by far. I feel like it's going to be really hard for Mileena to even get in on Frost. I feel like if she plays keep away, it's honestly game over. I don't think it's good. I think it's honestly one of her worst. Nightwolf, I actually think this is one of Mileena's overall even matchups. I think because she has a multi-hitting projectile, I think Nightwolf's reflector move is going to be less relevant in this matchup. She's going to be able to get away with zoning him, and up close Nightwolf doesn't have a very fast mid other than back 3, and that has really stubby range, and you can just block low against it. So I don't think Nightwolf is oppressive up close to Mileena either, in my opinion. It's those two things combined where it's not like he's bad. Nightwolf is a really solid character, and I don't think he loses to Mileena, but I just think it's his tools are not going to oppress her. Other characters are going to really give her a hard time. I feel like she's going to be able to deal with Nightwolf is what I'm saying. Up close, I think she has some fast buttons, 10 frame mid, 10 frame command grab, so I think she can more or less put up with what Nightwolf wants to do. All right, y'all, so I'm gonna continue on. For Joker, I do think this is one of Mileena's worst matchups in my opinion. I don't think it's good. I've heard some people argue she can check him with some of her buttons, but I just feel like he outspaces her. His damage output is really high, and Joker's one of the best in the game. He has ridiculous corner pressure. He has setups. Joker's really strong, and I just don't know that Mileena can really compete with him, in my opinion. I will say at the same time, though, I haven't played this matchup very much. So I honestly can't speak too much to it, but I've heard from other players that it's not terrible, but I don't think it's really good. I've played it a little bit, but I'd honestly probably I think I'd have to play it more to get a better idea. Against Johnny Cage, I would say this is an even matchup for Mileena, mostly. I think he definitely has stronger buttons than her, but he doesn't have an oppressive mid up close, and I feel like that's going to make it less bad for Mileena, on top of the fact that she can check him with down 3. If he tries to backdash and whiff punish, I feel like she can check him with that button. I think down 3 is going to be one of the main buttons that you use with Mileena in this matchup. So I think she can really contest Johnny Cage, because I want to say mostly because of, I'm being loud, mostly because of down 3. I think if it wasn't for that button, maybe this would be a more rough matchup, but I feel like she can really check him with it. Sonya, I would say they're overall even. I'm a Sonya main, and Sonya does win the zoning war unless Mileena has loci. I would say Mileena has the upper hand in the zoning war if she has loci, but Sonya can get outzoned, she can get outspaced. So if you can outspace Sonya, I think you can manage the matchup as Mileena, if you play those cards right. But I definitely don't think that like, I don't think Sonya does terribly against Mileena. As I said, I think it's even because Sonya can mix you really good. Sonya has really high damage. So if Sonya does get in, she can be scary. But what was it? Yeah, Sonya is kind of like Mileena in that she has really stubby range. So I feel like it's even. Cassie's one of Melina's worst matchups. Cassie has way stronger buttons up close. She has a 9-frame mid with better range than Milena's. It doesn't whiff like Milena's mid does. And kneecapping is also going to make Milena's zoning less relevant in this matchup. So I just think this is one of Milena's worst matchups. Milena's buttons just cannot compete with Cassie's. Cassie has way too good neutral game for Mileena to really contest it. Jax, I don't think this is a terrible matchup for Mileena, but I think it's variation dependent. I think if you're able to zone Jax, that'll help, but also even up close, he wants to be in your face. And while Milena's whiff Lena, people call her whiff Lena, Milena's mid will often whiff in a lot of situations. But because Jax wants to be in your face, I think it's less likely to whiff, depending. So I just think Mileena, because she has a fast mid, she has relatively fast buttons up close, her down one has good range, it's 7 frames, she has a 10-frame command grab. I think she can check him, but depending on the variation, I think he can beat Mileena. Spawn, I think if she can zone Spawn out, I think she can handle this matchup. And if you dash in for some mix-up game, I think that's also good. I think you're gonna really want to play keep away though, but if Spawn can anti-zone you, if he has the loadout for that, good. So for Scorpion, I think this is one of Milena's worst matchups. I feel like because Scorpion has a much stronger stagger game than Mileena. He can whiff punish her really easily. You cannot zone Scorpion with Mileena. He cannot be zoned, so that's gonna shut her zoning down. I think Mileena just can't compete with Scorpion and his buttons. I feel like they just outperform her. I think like he has better like space control than Mileena. It's really easy for Scorpion to whiff punish Mileena in general, I think, and I just feel like he has more range in her as well. Like if she tries to throw out something, I just think it's really easy for him to whiff punish her, as I mentioned. Noob, I would say, is one of Milena's worst matchups. It's kind of like Shang Tsung, but with more damage. Like, outspaces her. You cannot zone him. And if he opens her up, it's hella damage. Baraka, I think it's variation dependent. I think if he outspaces her, it's rough. But if you're playing a more close quarters game, I think Mileena can kind of handle him. I think it's rough in the corner though. I think it can definitely be rough in the corner against Baraka, but variation dependent, I think she can deal with him because he's not like a teleport character, so you can at least kind of zone him. Against Raiden, I think this is one of her worst matchups. He outspaces her completely. He has a fast teleport. Like, you can't zone him. It's like, I don't think there's much she can do against Raiden. Jackie can be checked with Rolling Thunder, I believe. And because Jackie wants to be mainly in your face, you won't be able to zone her. She has leap, but I don't think Milena's buttons are terrible up close. You can kind of deal with Jackie, but I don't think it's necessarily a good matchup for her. Jackie definitely has way more damage, way stronger buttons, but I don't think it's the worst for Mileena because Jackie at least wants to be more in your face. I don't feel like she outspaces Mileena. It's more just dealing with Jackie's pressure and making the right reads. Sub-Zero, I would say it's not a good matchup for her. It's probably not as bad as Scorpion because he's not a teleport character, but because of the anti-zoning, his stagger game, his throw game, his buttons are just way stronger than hers, and the 50-50s. That's what makes his throw game scary to me, is because it leaves you right there. Like, Sub-Zero can throw loop you, kind of like Mileena can, but it's way more oppressive because of the 50-50s that he has. Additionally, I'm trying to think. Oh, and I feel like, again, I feel like you can not out, well, kinda. I think you can whiff punish her really easily with back one. All right, so I'm gonna continue. So for Kano, I don't think this is one of Mileena's worst matchups. I feel like because Kano wants to be mainly in your face, I don't think it's terrible. His buttons are way stronger than hers though, I will say. And I think it's variation dependent. I think if it's like the biomagnetic pull Kano, honestly, I think he beats Mileena. I think there's some situations where he definitely beats Mileena. Like, I think his buttons are just way better in general. Like, Ford 1 is like, I don't know if it's oppressive, but his buttons in general are just way better than hers, but variation dependent. I think she can kind of deal with him. She can zone him in some situations, but like, again, it depends. Like, if the player makes the right reads, like, I don't think his air ball is the best anti-zoning tool. It can be kind of wonky, but it is there. But if he has that enhanced Kano ball, then yeah, I don't know if you're really going to be able to zone him. Probably not. So I think it's very variation dependent, but depending on the variation, like, I think she can kind of deal with Kano. But I think it's gonna be very variation dependent. Cabal, I think he's one of the worst matchups for her because most of what Cabal does is really safe and he can get a lot of plus frames off his jump kicks. Cabal does not have to take risks in the same way that Mileena has to take risks. I feel like Mileena has to take risks for a lot of things because her moves are mostly highs. Her mids, her back one is really stubby. You have to be touching them for it to hit. And then her forward one is slow. So like, it's really easy for her forward one to whiff against like Cabal and it's Punish City. Mileena just has to take way more risk with anything she throws out. Whereas Cabal, he doesn't have to take those same risks and he also gets a very high damage output. Liu Kang, I think he's not a good matchup for Mileena. I wouldn't say it's like the worst because I don't think he has ridiculous range in general, but like, so I wouldn't say he completely outspaces her, but his buttons up close are just way outdo her. She just cannot compete with his buttons. He has some of the best in the game. I don't think it's going to be good for Mileena. You're going to have to play extremely well to outdo the Liu Kang player. You're going to have to make so many good reads as Mileena, where I just feel like she's disadvantaged. She's definitely at a disadvantage against Liu Kang. Against Kitana, I feel like Kitana can outspace Mileena, but if you can anti-zone Kitana and mix her, it might be more manageable. I can't say too much about this matchup. Usually I lose to Kitana as Mileena, but I don't really use low side, so that could probably help in this matchup. Additionally, you can use it for mixing, so I honestly would have to like explore this one more, but I generally lose against Kitana. But again, I don't really use low side. I don't use it, so that might help out in this matchup. But I feel like generally Kitana would beat Mileena, but if you play it right, I think you might be able to beat Kitana as Mileena. Kung Lao's buttons are too good against Mileena. I feel like the air dive kick, he can kind of anti-zone with it, or teleport. There's been times where he was able to like, well, I'm trying to think. Kung Lao's teleport is not good, but he can anti-zone a bit with it, and I would just say his stagger game is better than Mileena's. He has like a good mid to stagger off of. He has really good strike throw. He gets pretty solid unbreakable damage from what I've seen. So I think Kung Lao definitely beats Mileena. I don't think it's a very good matchup for her. I think he probably has better space control as well. Yeah, I just think he outperforms her. Jade, if you're playing a rushdown Jade, I think Mileena can handle it more. If it's Jade playing keep away, I think it's going to be rough for Mileena. And for Jade, I think... Oh, one of the things that's good for Mileena in this matchup is that I feel like she can pretty consistently punish Jade for unsafe strings, unsafe moves. Jade tends to get away with a lot of unsafe stuff online, especially because some characters can't punish her as effectively, but I feel like Mileena can pretty consistently punish her, so that's something in Mileena's favor. ROBOCOP, I think Mileena might actually beat ROBOCOP because she has a base kit teleport. is going to be able to shut down like his zoning if you play that right. I think he can give her trouble up close with like flamethrower and command grab. So I don't want to say she completely beats him. Again, it might be variation dependent, but I would say overall her buttons are better. Her base kit buttons are better up close, I think, than his, because he has to equip command grab, he has to equip flamethrower. But if he does have those tools, they're pretty strong. Like I played like a rushdown RoboCop recently, and he mixed some zoning in there too, but it was mostly rushdown, like rushdown and space control, and it was rough. It was rough. I mean, I'm probably not used to playing that as well, so I don't want to say he beats her if he plays rushdown. So I don't have enough experience against rushdown RoboCops, but I would say overall she can pretty well. I would say she's even with. I would say she is even with RoboCop, if not beating him. Scarlet is one of Mileena's worst matchups in my opinion, because Scarlet I think can completely outspace her. Scarlet can have a teleport as well, so it's not a good teleport, but it's there. Like she can use that for anti-zoning. If Scarlet has boiling point, it's like on top of all the other tools she has, it's just really hard for Mileena, because I just feel like Scarlet completely outspaces her. And Mileena's teleport is not really fast enough to, like, I feel, check Scarlet. Like, if Scarlet does the blood tentacle, I've gotten interrupted by that, I believe. So it's just not a good matchup. ERRON Black, I think it's variation dependent. Sometimes it's worse than others. I would say overall it's not good, but like if he has command grab and like scud shot, I think it's gonna be pretty rough, because he gets good unbreakable damage with command grab. And scud shot shuts down zoning, so there's that. But up close, I actually don't think she's terrible against him, but again, that's like variation dependent, because if he has command grab, I just think oof, like it does a lot of damage. It does a lot of unbreakable damage, especially if he combos into it. So that on top of scud shot, I think can make this a really rough matchup. But again, that depends on the variation. D'Vorah, I think D'Vorah has the upper hand, but if she doesn't have teleport, you can zone D'Vorah. D'Vorah's buttons are slow, so Mileena can check her with forward 1. And I think even sides in some situations. But D'Vorah can still have the upper hand because of the range she has, as well as the Strepsitera bug setup. She can really pressure Mileena, so that can be rough. But I don't think it's unmanageable for Mileena to deal with D'Vorah. KAHN, I would say KAHN is, I would say he's mostly even with Mileena, because I've heard that he doesn't deal very well with rushdown. So if you play Mileena in a rushdown style, I feel like she can check him. His long range buttons, I believe they're a bit slower, so she can sort of interrupt some of the stuff he wants to do. He can't really be zoned. If he has a cat, you can't zone him, but still, I feel like Mileena can kind of check Kotal. I would say mainly because of her size being fast, multi-hitting. I don't want to say the size. I think she can just kind of check Kotal in general, especially if she gets in his face. Like, I'm not saying Kotal does badly against her, but I feel like she can more or less handle Kotal. I'd say it's mostly even. Against SHEEVA, I think Mileena beats SHEEVA. I think Mileena has faster buttons. She has the base kit teleport. I mean, SHEEVA is not a bad character, I think, even with the stomp nerf, but I just feel like Mileena's buttons outdo her. SHEEVA is a stubby character for the most part. She's stubby. Mileena can anti-zone her, and I don't think SHEEVA has a button like forward 1. I don't know if that's that relevant. I honestly don't know too much about this matchup recently, but I would think Mileena could definitely handle SHEEVA. If not beat her, I think it's at least even. Right? So for Rambo, I would say he beats Mileena, because Rambo actually, in my opinion, and at least in this matchup, I feel like his mids can check her. Rambo has decent zoning. He can mix, And while Rambo is not a high damage character by like, unless, I mean, if he has the combo launcher, snare trap, he gets decent damage, but I feel like even the little chips of damage he does can add up, and I feel like he at least has a serviceable mid in this matchup, whereas Mileena's mids are like, her back one is so stubby, her forward four is slow, and I feel like Rambo can just check her really easily. I think he can really easily check her. I feel like he does beat her, but that's just my opinion. I just think overall his tools kind of outdo Mileena because she's so stubby. And even like with the zoning, if he does snare trap, he goes under projectiles. So I mean, not snare trap, I think he does with that as well though, but no, I mean whip, that little, I think it's the whip trap, that thing he does, it's like the down back four, down away four. That move, he does duck projectiles. So that's where I feel like, yeah, her zoning is not even as relevant. I feel like he has the tools to put up with Mileena, and kind of, I think he beats her. Terminator, I honestly don't have a lot of experience against Terminator as Mileena, but I definitely do think his buttons beat her. I think he has oppressive, I don't want to say oppressive 50-50s, but at least against a character like Mileena where she lacks a strong mid, at least like a fast mid, because her back, I already said it. I think at least against Mileena, his tools would beat her. I don't have enough experience with this personally, but yeah, if he has teleport, he can anti-zone. His buttons are better up close, so I can't say this would be good for Mileena. Garrus, I think Mileena, because she's so quick, I feel like she can actually deal with Garrus, but his sand trap can be rough because, again, the space control, it has good range. Like, you probably might want to jump a lot, but I think he definitely is better. Like, I think he has the upper hand, but I think Mileena can contest him if you play it right. If you make the right reads, I feel like she can contest Garrus. Against Kollector, I'd say she's mostly even because Kollector's buttons are so slow and Mileena's buttons are faster. I feel like she can deal with him. He can be anti-zoning, but I think it's mainly the Mileena's buttons and movement being faster than his, I feel like, is the only reason it's like manageable, because I guess on paper you would think he does more damage and he has more range than her, it would be a problem, but from my experience, I don't think Kollector is like a bad matchup for Mileena. I think it was actually relatively even. SINDEL, I would say, is overall one of Mileena's worst matchups because SINDEL, like with forward 4, she doesn't have to play neutral the same way Mileena does. Like, and even her, like her forward 2, SINDEL has long range buttons. She has very long range buttons. She can mix. If she has haircut, she does. I think she has pretty good damage. Like, it's just going to be a lot harder for Mileena because Mileena is not going to be able to get in on SINDEL very easily. SINDEL can anti-zone with the low star screamer, like she'll duck under the projectiles. So yeah, I think even whip and flip can be, I don't know if it's anti-zoning, but like SINDEL just has long range buttons, and even in the zoning department, she can duck your projectiles with low star screamers. So I feel like SINDEL can really give Mileena problems because of the range, because of the anti-zoning, and even like the damage if she has haircut. In mirror matches, I hate mirror matches, but I would say it's even. I wouldn't say, I don't think like in a Mileena mirror match either character has like, I mean either player necessarily has an upper hand. I'm sure it's variation dependent, but I would say mostly even from my experience. I think it's mostly even. That probably sounds dumb as hell. I don't know, y'all. I don't know, like, I don't play mirror matches in this game to really say like how they are in terms of like evenness. I mean, you would think on paper you're playing the same character, it's even. I don't know if that's the case across the board, but I think in a Mileena mirror match, I think it's even. I honestly I cannot speak to mirror matches. I don't play mirror matches. Cetrion, Cetrion, cross your fingers and hope that she makes a mistake, because this matchup is so unbalanced. Like, one of Mileena's worst matches. I keep saying that, but she has numerous matchups that are really bad. Like, when I say worst, I mean worst of the worst, because she has some that are not really good or kind of bad. Like I said, Scorpion, or no, Scorpion's probably one of the worst. Sub-Zero's bad, but I don't think it's like terrible. I don't think it's worst of the worst, but like Cetron's really bad. Like, it's the worst because Cetron has so much stronger buttons, so much stronger space control. She can like she just honestly like walks all over Mileena. So I feel like it's extremely unbalanced. I feel like you're going to have to cross your fingers and hope she messes up, because it's just so disadvantaged for Mileena. You're gonna be like chasing Cetrion. Teleport's not really fast enough to really check Cetrion, in my opinion. Cetrion has a ridiculous teleport, like no recovery. It's just so unbalanced. Fujin as well, terrible, one of the worst. Like, Fujin doesn't really have to play neutral. He outspaces Mileena like completely. Like, she can't, I feel like she can't even touch him in some situations. Like, he has absurd space control and range, whereas like Mileena, like his back two, that's just like the tip of the, that's just one thing, just like that's just an example though. That's a base kit button, is his back two, and like that alone is really strong, and like especially in a matchup like Mileena where she lacks range. So Fujin is really terrible for Mileena to fight. Like, she does very poorly against Fujin. Lastly, Rain. I would also say Rain has the upper hand on Mileena, because I would say he has a better, I would say his mid is better than hers. I don't think his mid is great, but it's everything combined, like the mid with the movement, with the zoning. I feel like he can just kind of play. I'm trying to think. I just think his buttons outdo hers. And I feel like he can do like kind of what she wants to do, like hit and run, but I feel like he's more effective with that. Because he has some buttons that are a bit further reaching. If he uses like Tidal Wave, he can mix you with it. I know the mix isn't real, but it's a gimmick he has. He can do that. He has better space control than Mileena. Stuff like Tidal Wave, Hydroplane, he can reset neutral. He has better space control than Mileena. Like, yeah, Mileena can also reset neutral, but she has spent offensive meter. Rain can do it with defensive meter. I don't think Hydroplane is necessarily an amazing tool, but it's an option that he has. He has those space control options. He can escape corner pressure with back 1-4. He doesn't do very good damage unless you have like Hydro Boost or Water Ball, but I feel like most people think Rain is a stronger character than Mileena, and I would say I agree in general. I would agree in general, and I think his buttons just outdo hers. Like, he has like realistic crushing blows. He has throw crushing blows on both directions. He has the 4-2 crushing blow. So I feel like just what Mileena does, I just feel like her mids cannot compete. Like, just her buttons in general can't compete with Rain's. He has better buttons. He has better space control. I would even say he has better movement. So it's just like, I don't think there's much she can really do against him. But that's it for today, y'all. I hope this was somewhat helpful. I love Mileena and MK11. I think she's so much fun, despite being like a low tier character. I think she's really fun. You can definitely make Mileena work in like various matchups, but I would say like the worst, as I mentioned before, just to recap, Shang Tsung, Frost, Noob, Raiden, Cabal, Scarlet, Sindel, Cetron, and Fusion. I would say those are like the worst of the worst matchups for Mileena. You can maybe throw in Terminator in there as well. I would say those are the worst, arguably. I would say Rain is like, I don't have enough experience with it. I don't think it's good. It might be really bad because I do think Rain has a lot stronger tools than Mileena, as well as Rambo. I feel like he can actually give Mileena trouble too. But they're obviously, Rain and Rambo are not as oppressive as like Cetron and Fusion. Like those are like just, oh my god. But anyways, y'all, Scorpion. I think Scorpion is also one of her worst matchups. If Scorpion's playing an up close game, I mean, Mileena can kind of contest him, but if you're playing a Scorpion player who's good, they know what they're doing. If they're playing him optimally, it is not a good matchup. He is a teleport character. He has better space control. He can reset neutral with teleport cancel. He uses defensive meter for that. He just has way stronger tools and buttons in her. It's both like the buttons and just like his specials really outdo Mileena. So again, those are the absolute worst for her. Oh, and Cassie Cage. I forgot Cassie. Cassie's terrible as well. So yeah, honestly, Mileena has a lot of bad matchups, but I think Mileena can be really fun. I would not let that discourage you from playing her. I think at the end of the day, play whoever you enjoy, whoever you want to play. I will say competitively, Mileena is very lacking. Like, you are going to struggle as Mileena. You're going to have to work hard with her. But it does feel very rewarding if you do win. And I think she is a lot of fun. So that's all I have to say. I hope y'all enjoyed the video.